war. It's a heavy concept, right? Often harrowing. But kind of paradoxically, it's also given us some of the most, well, thrilling and immersive settings in video games.
Absolutely, that intensity.
Exactly. Think about the battles, the camaraderie, just the sheer scope of it all. And back in 2003, a brand new studio steps onto this stage. They look at the brutal chaos of World War II, and they see this chance to do something really groundbreaking.
Welcome.
This is where we dig through the sources, pull out those key moments, and hopefully uncover some surprising facts behind the things that have really shaped our world. Today, we're heading back, way back, to the very beginning of a gaming giant, Call of Duty.
Ah, yes.
We're trying to understand how these early decisions, made by a pretty small team actually, way before things like kill streaks or prestige mode were even like a glimmer in anyone's eye, how those choices totally transformed the gaming landscape in just 4 years.
It's an incredible story.
It really is. Our mission here is to trace those origins from that first revolutionary game right up to the huge impact of Call of Duty 4. Modern warfare. It's the story of how this group of developers, fresh off working on another huge war game, dared to build something that would, well, basically dominate gaming for decades.
And that's the fascinating part, isn't it? Call of Duty didn't just, show up in a crowded field of first-person shooters. It fundamentally changed the rules. People might have thought, oh, just another WWII game, but no, it was. It was a pivotal moment, a real paradigm shift.
Okay.
And in this deep dive, we're going to illuminate those specific choices, some subtle, some maybe less so, but all incredibly innovative that made Call of Duty stand out right from day one. They built a legacy few franchises can even touch.
Right, so let's unpack that. Take yourself back, if you can, early 2000s. The gaming scene, it's pretty much dominated by World War II shooters.
Oh yeah, Medal of Honor territory.
Exactly. Medal of Honor was king, delivering those really cinematic kind of Saving Private Ryan vibes, right? But here's where it gets interesting. A specific bunch of developers, the guys behind Medal of Honor, Allied Assault at a company called 2015 Inc. They had this bigger vision.
They wanted more.
They did. They wanted to push things further. So they made a pretty bold move. They left, formed their own Studio Infinity Ward, and then teamed up with Activision to make something totally new. And that was the original Call of Duty.
A gamble, really, when you think about it, leaving the established hit.
Huge gamble. And that first game launched October 2003. It felt different immediately. It wasn't just you, the lone hero. No, it threw you into the war from 3 different angles, American, British, and Soviet perspectives.
Which was brilliant.
It wasn't just a story trick. It instantly made the whole conflict feel massive, like global. You felt like this small but still important piece in a much, much bigger machine.
Yeah, not the Rambo figure.
Right. And the gameplay itself. Forget those old shooting galleries where enemies just pop up.
Yeah.
This was, well, it was chaos. Pure chaos, but in a good way. Squad mates yelling, bullets whizzing past your head, like you could feel them almost. And this massive focus on immersion. They brought in shell shock effects, that blurry vision, muffled sound after an explosion, and the sound design, the roar of artillery. It just put you there.
That multi-perspective thing was, like you said, incredibly insightful. It just immediately ramped up the scale, the realism. But it also solved a big design problem, didn't it? How do you show this huge global war without losing the personal angle?
Yeah, good point.
By switching soldiers, they gave you different facets of the war, made it feel more like a collective struggle, not just one guy's story. And that commitment to immersion you mentioned, the helpful AI allies who actually felt like they were fighting with you, not just standing around.
They really did.
Yeah. And those shell shock effects, that set a new bar for shooters. It wasn't just point and shoot anymore. It was about trying to survive this genuinely stressful, chaotic environment.
So Call of Duty launches, makes a huge splash, carves out its own space. Then, just 2 years later, November 2005, Call of Duty 2 drops. And this is where the series really makes its big jump to console dominance.
The Xbox 360 launch title, huge.
Massive. It wasn't just another PC game. For a lot of people, this was their first taste of next-gen gaming. And boy, did it look the part. The graphics, for the time, were just stunning, jaw-dropping. The AI felt smarter, too. And then there was that one mechanic, regenerating health.
Ah, the game changer.
Total game changer. Seems standard now, maybe, but back then, it was revolutionary. No more desperately hunting for medkits while bullets are flying.
Broke the flow, didn't it? The medkit hunt.
Totally. This new system just sped up the action like crazy, kept you right in the fight. And you could argue it made the game way more accessible for, wider audience. Duck behind cover, heal up, jump back in.
Yeah, much more fluid.
Of course, it also cemented Cody's reputation for being challenging,
Yeah.
especially on veteran difficulty. Remember the grenade spam?
God, the grenade spam, yes. You'd swear the AI just had infinite pockets full of them.
Right, constantly getting bombarded. It's frustrating, sure, but also kind of memorable. A rite of passage, maybe?
It really was. But the success of Code 2 as a console launch title, you just can't overstate that. It wasn't just popular, it was like a signal flare to the whole industry. Console players were absolutely ready for this kind of intense, realistic shooter, and the 360 could deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
And regenerating health. Wow, that one innovation basically changed the DNA of shooters that came after. Almost everyone adopted it. It completely altered how people played, more pushing forward, tactical retreats, less cautious, crawling around looking for health packs.
Faster paced.
Definitely. It lowered the entry barrier for new players, but still kept that hardcore challenge there, especially with veteran mode. It made the gameplay so much smoother, more continuous. This was the moment Call of Duty really became this major multi-platform franchise. It proved it wasn't just a one-off hit, it was here to stay.
And then, 2007, just 2 years later again, Infinity Ward drops Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. And the gaming world didn't just react. It kind of imploded and rebuilt itself around this game.
It was seismic. Absolutely seismic.
This wasn't just tweaking the formula, it was a total shift. They took this massive risk, abandoned World War II, entirely the setting they were known for, and threw us headfirst into a contemporary setting. Desert ops, terrorist threats, a story that felt like it was ripped from today's headlines or like a really intense Tom Clancy novel.
Super relevant at the time, too.
Incredibly relevant. And the moments.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You remember them, right? That nuke scene? Just devastating, gut-wrenching, completely unexpected.
Yeah, still sticks with you.
And the all-gillied-up mission. The sheer tension of crawling through that grass, that stealth gameplay, masterful. These weren't just levels. They felt like interactive movies, hitting players on this really deep level. It changed what we thought a shooter story could even be.
Absolutely groundbreaking, pushing the boundaries of game narrative.
For sure.
And that shift to modern, it was pure genius. A huge risk, like you said, but it paid off massively. The WWII shooter thing was getting a bit stale, let's be honest.
Yeah, it needed something new.
Modern Warfare just breathed new life into the genre. It allowed for way more diverse stories, more complex moral questions, stuff players could connect with in the post-9/11 world. It wasn't just telling a story, it created this incredibly cinematic, immersive feeling. The narrative depth set a whole new standard for single-player campaigns. Its influence on game storytelling, pacing, you still see it today. It proved shooters could be emotional and action-packed.
Okay, so the single player was already revolutionary. But the multiplayer, Call of Duty 4's multiplayer was just legendary. This is where Call didn't just join the party. It basically wrote the rule book for almost every online shooter that came next.
It really did become the template.
We're talking about those key things that are just standard now, right? Perks. That whole system of customizing your soldier, tailoring abilities to how you play, kill streaks, getting those awesome rewards, UAVs, airstrikes for stringing kills together, so satisfying. And prestige mode, resetting everything to unlock new stuff, keep you playing for hundreds, maybe thousands of hours.
Have people hooked. Absolutely addictive loop.
Think about how dominant Halo was on consoles before this. Code 4 didn't just knock on the door, it kicked it down and took the crown.
Yeah, it really shifted the balance of power in online console gaming.
Suddenly there's this new king, faster pace, deeper customization. People were hooked. And who can forget the infamous M16 noob tube meta?
Oh, the noob tube, right. The
course.
underbarrel grenade launcher.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, basically a grenade launcher attached to your rifle, seen by many as, well, kind of low skill and maybe a bit overpowered.
Definitely frustrating to be on the receiving end of.
Totally frustrating.
Yeah.
But it was also such a defining part of that online experience, wasn't it? 'Cause endless arguments online became part of the gaming vocabulary. Just a chaotic, unforgettable time for online shooters.
You really can't overstate the influence of Modern Warfare's multiplayer. It defined online gaming for a whole generation. Shifting away from the arena shooter model that Halo had perfected, it created this incredibly competitive scene, but it was also just engaging. Kept you coming back.
The progression was key.
Absolutely. That mix of progression, the customization with perks, the immediate reward of kill streaks, it was brilliant design. It wasn't just about who had the best aim anymore. It was about crafting your loadout, planning your streaks, grinding for that next prestige. It created this constant feedback loop of achievement. It just set new industry standards for how online progression and customization worked. It seriously challenged Halo's dominance by offering something faster, more customizable, maybe more immediately rewarding in some ways, and just as compelling long term. It showed multiplayer wasn't just an extra mode, it could be the game.
What an incredible arc. 4 years. Just 4 years. And Call of Duty goes from being this interesting WWII experiment to, well, an absolute cultural phenomenon, redefining the shooter genre practically every other year.
Hmm.
This deep dive, it really shows how those foundational choices, the multiple perspectives broadening the story, the regenerating health, making it accessible, then that huge risky leap to modern warfare with that groundbreaking multiplayer, how all that built the foundation for just unbelievable sustained success. They weren't just making sequels, they were setting new standards.
And if you look at the bigger picture, it really shows the power of smart, continuous innovation. Even things that seem small now, like regenerating health, when combined with those bold moves like leaving WWII behind, it created something genre-defining. From making single-player feel truly immersive, putting you right in the thick of it, to pioneering those multiplayer mechanics we just talked about. Call of Duty didn't just hang around in a tough market, it exploded, it grew, and it completely reshaped what everyone thought a first-person shooter could be. It proved that taking calculated risks and really understanding what engages players could lead to phenomenal results.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How one game, making a bold shift like Modern Warfare did, changing the setting, changing the mechanics, can just completely alter the path of an entire genre.
Forever.
Yeah, forever. It changes what players expect, it influences hundreds of other developers, it pushes game design in totally new directions. What does that mean for games coming out now? What little innovation today might be the next huge genre-bending shift we're talking about in 10, 20 years?
Interesting question.
So as you're thinking back on all this, maybe listening to us talk, what's that one memory from those early Call of Duty games that really sticks out for you? Was it, I don't know, finally beating a super tough mission on Veteran?
Surviving the grenade spam, maybe?
Maybe. Or maybe feeling that tension and all gillied up for the first time. Or nailing some multiplayer tactic with your friends online that just felt amazing.
Think about how those first few games, those foundational titles, might have shaped your own gaming journey. It's definitely worth considering.